What is up guys, Tired here, and welcome to another late character explained video featuring your mom from Final Fantasy 15, Ignis. So before anything else, I would like to give a quick shout out to the creators of the DissidiaDB.com website as well as the Tonberry Troop from the DFFOO subreddit, as most of the information that I will be sharing with you guys were taken from them. So yeah, without further ado, let's proceed on checking out his kit. So firstly, Ignis is a dagger-wielding melee attacker that provides tremendous support to the party by way of battery, heal, and turn manipulation. His skill 1 is called Regroup. This skill restores the HP of the party based on the party's max HP, and then restores the party's HP again based on Ignis's initial brave. The skill then raises the party's brave based on the current total party HP. His first aid buff is granted for 5 turns by this skill as well. First aid raises the party's max brave and attack. So equipping his regroup extend passive basically improves the heal and the brave gain of the skill. It also extends the duration of first aid by 5 turns. Equipping his 15 CP weapon passive is important as this passive gives regroup no action delay and does not increase turn count. As with the extend passive, his 15 CP passive also improves the heal and brave gain of the skill. It also improves the effects of first aid and extends its duration. So basically, this skill is Ignis's burst heal and somewhat of an aura. His skill 2, Quick Recipe, at base form raises the party's brave based on his max brave. It has no action delay and provides him his Ambrosia buff, which raises his initial brave and attack. Quick Recipe turns his brave attack into Cooking Memory Lane Pastry, which raises the party's brave based on his initial brave and grants the Memory Lane Pastry buff for 6 turns. It cancels the Papa Bird and Baby Bowl buff if it is active. It has no action delay and does not increase turn count. His skill 2 also turns his HP attack into Cooking, Papa Bird, and Baby Bowl, which raises the party's brave based on his max brave and grants the Papa Bird and Baby Bowl buff for 6 turns. It also cancels the Memory Lane Pastry buff if it is active. The same with the first buff, it has no action delay and does not increase turn count. So what are these two buffs? Memory Lane Pastry raises the party's debuff evasion rate and grants HP regen to the party, while Papa Bird and Baby Bowl, however, raises the party's attack and max brave overflow limit. Equipping his Quick Recipe extend passive slightly improves the brave gain of the skill and extends the duration of Ambrosia by 4 turns. When Memory Lane Pastry is active, his brave attack turns into Brave Attack plus Pastry, which raises the party's brave based on his initial brave. His HP attack turns into HP attack plus Pastry, which raises his brave based on his initial brave before inflicting the HP attack. It also provides the team brave battery based on the HP damage dealt. When Papa Bird and Baby Bowl is active, his brave attack turns into Brave Attack plus Bowl, which raises the party's brave based on his max brave. His brave hits is also increased by 2 and has an increase in total brave potency. It also has reduced action delay. His HP attack turns into HP attack plus uh, plus Bowl, which is a melee brave attack plus HP attack that raises the party's brave based on his max brave. It also has reduced action delay. Equipping his 35 CP weapon passive boosts the brave granted based on his max brave and also improves the ambrosia effect. Equipping Ignis with his Plunderer's Dagger gives him the ability to use his EX ability Overwhelm. Overwhelm raises the party's brave based on max brave before inflicting HP attacks based on the party member's brave. It will then allow allies to act immediately after. Max limit breaking his EX weapon basically improves the skill by ways of recast speed, the brave gain, and reduced action delay. This skill is like Charlotta's Crystal Regeneration plus turn manipulation. Realizing his EX weapon into EX plus will not only increase the stats provided by the weapon but will also gain these effects. At 0-3, when using Overwhelm, the gain brave by the party can overflow up to 120%. Ignis's attack is also raised and just basically improves the pastry and bowl, brave, and HP attacks. At 1-3, Ignis's max brave and initial brave is raised. At 2-3, Ignis is granted his first aid buff for 10 turns and his ambrosia buff for 7 turns. His brave attack will also be set to cooking memory lane pastry, while his HP attack will be cooking Papa Bird and Baby Bowl at the start of the quest. At 3-3, Overwhelm gains a increase in Brave gain and overflow limit. So here are some of Ignis's notable passives. His level 50 passive raises his initial Brave and max Brave when Ambrosia is active and is somewhat crucial as his batteries relies on his initial Brave and or max Brave. His level 54 passive raises his initial Brave and attack while he's buffed, while his level 58 passive raises his max Brave and speed while buffed. His 68 passive raises his initial Brave and max Brave by 20%, which, as I've said earlier, is great for him. And his AA ability raises the party's max Brave for 3 turns. And equipping his AA Extend passive improves the Brave max Brave up effect. So final thoughts for Ignis. So firstly, with his memory lane pastry buff, he does provide the party debuff immunity, which is great as currently right now only Lena can do this. So having another party member that can provide debuff immunity is really great. I guess he is one of the crucial units that can be used in Dimensions and tier 6 or even tier 7. Yeah, I've used him in tier 7 and he does wonders for that stage. Second is that he provides excellent battery, heal, and HP regen. For downsides, he has trouble shaving Brave. It's not even a trouble. He cannot shave Brave. He can only do Brave attacks or Brave hits when his Papa Bird and Baby Bull buff is active, but aside from that, he does not usually do brave hits. Also, one of his downsides is that he has slow EX recharge, as he will mostly use his brave attacks and HP attacks. Uh, so yeah, for ingot recommendations, right now I have him at 03. He has no issues completing, as I've said earlier, Dimensions and Tier 7. But if you want to have his Ambrosia buff and First Aid buff at the start of the quest, you can have him at 2-3. But of course, having him at 3-3 would be ideal for the Overwhelm ability. So, for recommended artifacts, boosting his initial Brave and Max Brave is very important. As I've said earlier, his battery revolves on his initial Brave and Max Brave. That is why having initial Brave plus 170 and Max Brave plus 330 is very important to him. However, 2-star Cooking for Comrades boost can be a great substitute. So yeah, there you have it, guys. My quick explanation and overview for Ignis. Um, he is currently one of the better supports that we have on global, especially with the debuff immunity buff. So yeah, I do hope you were able to learn something about him in this video, and if so, please leave a like and comment down below on how you're finding using him. He does have a very fun kit, and yeah, there you have it, guys. Good luck on your games, and I will see you on the next video.